Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'll be showing you how to make dubstep in the style of SPMC, inspired by his tracks Oh My Gosh, Trust Nobody and Hunted with LX1. The project file, samples and presets are available for a small contribution in the description, and please drop a like and subscribe if you appreciate my content. As always, you can comment suggestions for future videos below. If you like this style, check out my textured basses serum pack and my dubstep playlist, and I'll link these in the description. Our BPM is 142, and although we're rooted in F, the project has a chromatic feel inspired by Oh My Gosh, although Phrygian dominant or harmonic minor scales could also work well. This is the kick, which is 808 inspired. Next, we have the drums. Starting with the rims. I've added minimal reverb to the main rim. And there's EQ, echo, and reverb on the rim effects. Both effects are 100% wet. In Trust Nobody, you can hear a similar technique on certain snare hits, although SPMC may be sending a single rim shot to a return, whereas I'm using a different sample for the rim and effects. Next, we have the high percussion. SPMC uses lots of ride cymbals alongside hi-hats and shakers, and this is what I've done here. There's a drum bus on the group to add grit. Finally, we have the drum effects. On the individual channels, I've added echoes and auto filters, creating ambience and movement, especially as the LFOs are activated on the filters. If you're wondering why Foley 1 is frozen, it's because the LFO on the auto filter seems to be acting a bit randomly. I've applied this two-step groove to everything in the drums group to humanize the percussion. On the group, there's saturation and glue compressor. EQ, and reverb via A. Here I've chosen the empty club preset. Next we have the basses. As you can see, we have low and top layers. Let's start with the wobble. In oscillator A, there's a sine wave taken down by 2 octaves with FM from B increased. Oscillator B is another sine wave with its level taken down. We have a low pass filter with its cutoff modulated by LFO1. And there's drive on the filter too, plus distortion in the effects. Next, we have the hard 808. This is very similar to a Pulse X style bass I made for a short, and I'll link that video on the screen. The preset is available for free. We have a sine wave in the sub oscillator, which has been taken down by 2 octaves. Oscillator A is a triangle wave, again taken down by 2 octaves. There's a filter with its cutoff modulated by LFO2, with resonance and drive on the filter. The sub isn't running into the filter. In the effects, there's distortion. And in the matrix, we can see that the master tuning is being modulated by LFO1. On the channel, there's an EQ. Then we have the deep wobble. This is very similar to the FM wobble, but with a different amp envelope shape, filter cutoff LFO shape, and filter settings. Again, with distortion in the effects. Our final low bass is the square. We have a square wave in the sub oscillator running into a low pass filter with its cutoff modulated by LFO1. In the effects, there's distortion and a second filter with its cutoff modulated by LFO2. There's an EQ on the channel. For the tops, we have this high FM patch, which follows and is layered with the previous sounds. SPMC uses similar harmonically rich sounds, particularly in Haunted. We have this Monster 2 waveform taken down by 1 octave, and its unison is at 7. Its wavetable position is being modulated by LFO1. And FM from B is active. Oscillator B is a square wave taken up by 2 octaves, again with its unison at 7, but with its level taken down. The filter and effect setup is very similar to the previous patch. And you can see the matrix here. On the channel, there's an audio effect track. And here I split the frequencies using EQ3s into mid and high bands with individualized overdrives before the EQs. There's this auto filter, which is automated towards the end of the loop. Finally, there's an EQ. Next, we have the first effect swab. In Serum, we have a square wave taken down by 2 octaves with FM from B activated via the warp knob. Oscillator B is the 4088 waveform, and its wavetable position is modulated by LFO1. There's a low pass filter with its cutoff modulated by LFO1 too. In the effects, there's hyperdimension, distortion, and EQ, with the EQ removing lows. There's another EQ on the channel, and it's also removing lows, and this is important so the patch doesn't interfere with the bass. And there's an echo too. Finally, we have the second wob effects. This is near identical to the last patch, with the main difference being the Monster 5 waveform in oscillator B, which has been taken up by an octave. Again, there's EQ and echo on the channel. On the group, there's saturation and parallel compression. With EQ, bass mono, and sidechain compression via the kick, plus reverb via A. There's a total of 7 different sounds in the basses group, and whilst you don't have to use this many, this style of sound design heavy dubstep necessitates using harmonically rich basses, often as layers or effects alongside deeper subs. Next, we have the effects. With many of these sounds, I've added both echo and filters. In the case of this Foley sound, for example, I've put the filter post echo so that the echo is filtered with the filter's LFO sweeping the frequencies around. The polar atmosphere is made in Serum. We have the polar 1 noise running into a bandpass filter with its cutoff being modulated by LFO1 with plenty of resonance and drive. In the effects, there's dimension expander and distortion. On the channel, I'm using a shifter to tune the drone, EQ, and echo. There's this Vox impact too. I often talk about how important ambience and texture effects can be in dubstep, but SPMC takes this to the next level, both in terms of the bass-like synth sounds, Foley, and creepy atmospheres. On the group, there's drum bus with compression and EQ, plus reverb via A. Finally, we have the vocal. I spent ages looking for a sample like this from the public domain. It's part of an old FBI recording, and this type of conspiratorial speech works well in terms of subject matter and tonality. There's echo on the channel, plus reverb via A. And that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.